Hey, we're back. It's check-in on election day with Headcount, and we've been doing this all day, and really fun. Thanks to all our guests so far, starting with Michael Franti, then American Eagle Outfitters, Claim Our Space, Sean T, who took us through an amazing workout, and then we had Jesse Hooker Bailey, and now we have my friend and somebody who's just been so amazing for a head count all year is Amy Lee. And I'm trying to figure this out. I see Kosha Dills. Is that who I'm saying yes to here? I'm a little confused now. All right, we're going to try this. View request. Evanescence official. That's the one. There we go. All right, here we go. We got this. So, yeah, what a.
You're funny. You sound just like me trying to work things.
Oh my Lord! Luckily, there are lots of people around to help me. But then,
Hey, look, we match.
looking good,
Nice.
looking good.
Thanks for the merch.
Yeah, of course.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm okay. People are asking me like what my anxiety level is. I went with 3.5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, is it on a 1 to 10 scale?
Yeah, 1 to 10.
8.
All right.
I feel good, but also it's definitely like a moment to I don't know, feel a lot about. I am rooting for change, and it's been cool and inspiring to see so many people vote early this year. I went the first day of early voting like at 8 a.m. here, and I waited in line for like 2 hours. A little bit into the line, I was like, maybe coming the very first moment of the very first day was a mistake, but it's actually really fun. There was a lot of just people feeling sort of the energy and passion of like doing their duty as an American to try to help our country.
Well, now you know how it feels to wait online for Evanescence tickets.
Oh, I'm sure that's a little bit.
Yeah, I think it is there's something communal about all this, and
Yeah.
there's something about how long you waited online. It's like part of the memory and part of the experience, and it seems like today the lines are not that long because people voted early. People listened, and
yeah, my mom was saying that they're in my parents are in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they were thinking that election day was going to be slammed, but they're like, it's like a ghost town. No doubt. I think everybody voted early. It's awesome. Like everybody got organized and went out.
Interesting. And Arkansas is probably, you think of Arkansas as a fairly red state. What everyone's saying is that Trump voters are expected to vote more on election day. Biden voters are expected to vote early more. But what the pundits say is not always. They do not predict human behavior always.
Sure.
So, but I'm so glad you're doing this today, Amy. It wouldn't be the same without you, because I feel like you are I don't know what the right word is, but you have been with us on this journey very much this year. And
we're all on this journey, whether we like it or not.
yeah. And for anybody watching who doesn't know, just tell us a little bit about what we did together this year and the song and kind of what brought us here to this moment.
Yeah. My platform, Evanescence, our whole thing, we've always totally steered away from politics. This is a first for us to say anything at all. And it just felt too big. It's too important. There's too much on the line. All of us together, honestly, just felt passionate about the state of the world, and our country right in the middle of that. So I am very proud to have partnered with Headcount this year in trying to get people to realize that this year is it's important, but this year is especially important that our voices all be heard. We need to be heard. Our song is Use My Voice. I'm sure most of the people watching here know that. But the whole point of it is the fact that we can't be represented if we're not heard, and we can't be heard if we don't stand up and speak for ourselves. So it's time to do just that.
And I tell you every time that whenever I hear the song, it is in my head for days. It is such a great anthem. How did you feel like the song was received? I mean, you've put out a lot of music in your career, so you have that perspective. What did fans kind of react to the song as you'd hoped?
Yeah, totally. It's felt so good to release music at all in this time. It's just such a weird year. Everything that we do has to be done differently. And I mean, everybody, like we're all having to just adjust our lives in really major ways. And making music is no different. There's just extra challenges and things to think about, and also more to write about. There's really current, all-encompassing issues that we need to get off our chest, that I need to kind of put in perspective, next to my own personal experiences. It's also like this is a shared experience. There's a lot to say. So having the ability to continue in this time has made me feel hope, love for my band, appreciation for the fact that I get to make music for a living, and that we're able to put those feelings into words and music. And I've loved being able to connect with the fans still, like this, through technology, through just being able to release music and engage with that and see them online, digging it. That's enough for now. It's a lot. It's wonderful. Yeah, I think it's been great. We're coming close on time to release the next one. I think I know which one.
Now, I know you did a performance the other day that was really wonderful and really well received, and that was for everybody who checked their registration status through the Use My Voice campaign. How was it performing in a pandemic and putting all that together?
It was hard. We had to just kind of create a situation. Like we knew we wanted to do something as a group. I know it was an option for me to just do kind of a live at home thing, like I've sort of done before, but talking to the guys, like we're ready to do something a little bit more. And it was cool because it gave us an excuse to go back to the scene of the crime and be in the studio where we're making our album. And I just got Troy and Will to get themselves here. They live on the East Coast. And then we spent a couple days, in the studio sort of setting up. Nick hugely helped us. And then Tim and Jen, Tim's in California, Jen's in Germany. They each like went into a studio and recorded their parts. We all did it and put it together. The three-piece part was like a live recording thing. But then we had to add in Jen and Tim. But I mean, the fact that we can do that way is awesome. And it gave us something cool to focus on. And it made us look at our old music too and realize like there's been songs from a decade ago that so apply to this music. Music has just been huge for me all around this year with just like perspective and finding meaning in old things. We're like, oh, wow, that is awesome. This is more powerful now than it used to be. This has, a new depth. So it was fun to get to do that too and play some different songs.
And I know people are probably watching this from all over the world because your fan base is truly global. And for me, it's been interesting to work with you because I feel like you guys are truly unique. Like, I don't think there's any other band in the world that you could say, Evanescence, they're like X, or their fan base is like Y. It seems like you guys have built something that truly just stands on its own, and you've found your people and your people have found you. And I'm curious, tell me just a little bit about that journey. Like, how do you see the arc and the story of your band and how you have found that really massive worldwide fan base?
That's a big question. It's the kind of thing that really builds over time. And it hasn't always been the same, from starting out to now, almost 20 years later, this is like a very huge, like one of the very biggest relationships in my life. And it's been so gratifying and given me so much life and love, and especially through the connection with others. But it's like everything, like there's ups and downs. I remember starting out, it was really hard for me, like to understand and accept and deal with just the whole thing, like being famous really fast when I'd just gotten out of high school, and just having yourself I don't know, on display like that. It's an unusual dynamic. It just takes a little bit of balance and getting used to and separating yourselves in all the right ways. So, you know, there was a time when there were definitely times when I kind of wanted to run and hide. And then just continually over time, there's been so much to love and so much to learn from people. And after all this time, like I feel the best about it I ever have. I feel more centered and connected, and just right where I'm supposed to be. I'm just ultimately very, very grateful. And I do love playing live, and we miss that very much. There's a special, indescribable thing that happens there. There's a magic and a connection, a spiritual one, with everybody that's in the room with you. And we've had to have this time where we thought we were going to be touring and we weren't. And it's really made me think about how deep that is to me, and what it really means in my heart, to share those experiences with our fans. I can't wait to do it again.
You know, I'm really looking forward to seeing you live. It's funny because we've started this relationship between Evanescence and Headcount without concerts. And usually concerts is like the centerpiece of Headcount
Right.
and how we get to know artists. So someday we're going to be out at your shows, registering voters, bringing
Yeah.
volunteers out. And it's just more to look forward to. And it's just so funny that we've done so much together without having that piece that is, it's really how so
I
many,
know.
yeah.
I know. We're going to have to partner together again when we can like actually be playing concerts.
It's something I really look forward to, and just kind of getting to know your fans better. It seems like your fans are every age, every background. That's really the sense I have. Again, there's no like cookie cutter there
Yeah.
at all. What being a woman, I've heard you talk in a lot of interviews about being a woman in hard rock, and how there aren't that many. And I look at music in general, where you look at a lot of festival lineups, they're so dominated by men. You look at like backup bands, so dominated by men, even though there are so many great female musicians. But I do sense it's changing. I feel like
Yeah.
there's more of an awareness of creating more opportunities for side musicians, and certainly trying to structure festival lineups in ways that highlight female voices. Where do you feel like the industry is in being offering opportunities and fair opportunities?
Well, you know, it's psychological. I think it's part of just a much broader thing where we naturally sort of make assumptions based on what we've heard or seen just continually throughout our lives. With what you look like, who you are, like, has something to do with what you're probably good at, what you're probably supposed to do. Like, we just naturally make, you know, connections like that. And I think you think rock star, you're imagining a guy, like you just are, like that's just kind of what it is. And it's hard to make that a thing to be blaming someone for, because it's there. It's just it's one of those things, like so many things, like so many genres and jobs and everything. Like a girl is a singer, and a guy is somehow like more equipped to do something more technical, and that's what hurts. I think that's what's really wrong, is the jobs and the positions and the things where people just, their mind doesn't naturally go, oh yeah, totally, a woman, are the ones that require more brain power, in a lot of ways. We're talking like engineers and producers and managers and accountants, like all the little things that go around it. Gender just doesn't have anything to do with that. So I think on every level, from gender to race to everything, we just need to open our minds and really go back to that childhood truth that you can't judge a book by its cover. Give everybody a fair chance. If we're going to continue to move forward, which please let's do, as a society and as a world, we need to kind of like just drop those things, let those ideas go, and base things on their quality and their content and their ability, not on what they look like or seem like.
You mentioned your family's still in Arkansas and growing up in Arkansas, and I wonder how that shaped you. That's certainly, you know, you're in Nashville now, and Nashville, I think, is a city that's changed a lot. But I'm sure your upbringing, you have a perspective on America that someone like me who I grew up in New York City, and we're a bubble here.
Mm.
as this election unfolds, and obviously we're very polarized as a country. Has growing up in Arkansas given you more of a perspective of kind of differing viewpoints?
Yeah, I think so. My dad's in radio. We moved around a lot. So I've actually lived in, if you think about it in terms of like voting and red states, blue states, all that stuff, it's pretty funny. I've lived all over the place. I grew up in Florida as a kid. And we lived in Illinois for a short time. And then Arkansas is where, I formed the band and we got our start. And then I lived in New York for the longest I've ever lived anywhere and loved that bubble in so many ways. But I think this goes back to the same thing I was just talking about not judging people. Like, it's interesting in this time, we are so polarized. But you can't look at like a whole place, a whole state, a whole area and go, oh yeah, they're all, because that's not how it is anywhere. People are people, and you can't choose where you come from. And not everybody is just sheep going along with everything going on around them. So you just got to think for yourself and open your mind. I not only lived in Arkansas, but I went to a prep school. So like some of the stuff going on, some of the people in power that are abusing it are just reminding me of my angst in that time, in that world, and just looking at the world around me going like, I'm going to be goth now. Yeah, definitely. I feel like I have a little extra perspective on that.
I hope your prep school celebrates you and your success.
Yeah, I think they do. I hope so. We don't talk much.
Well, I know for you this year has been one of where you really were finding your voice as somebody speaking out for participation and for making everyone's voice heard, and that wasn't part of your messaging before. Where do you go from here? Where do you see that side of you? How will that continue to shape your music and your public persona?
It's just another rule broken of mine, like another barrier broken, another open door. I don't think that any one thing could define me, or anybody. But now, there's a new freedom in what I can say, to myself. Like it's really all about your own rules and your own sense of like what's okay and what you're not going to do. And I really have felt very it's hard to find the right word. I'm proud of us, but the word that I'm really looking for is I feel satisfaction. It just really felt for a while there, especially at the beginning of this year, like there was something on my chest that had to get off, like physically. And to finally be able to just do anything to try to push things forward and at least just make it known what we're not okay with. It has just been a weight off for sure. And, helped in this time for me to not feel powerless. That's the whole thing. That I think that's the biggest thing that people are fighting against, is feeling like we don't have any say. Like you're not listening. We're being suppressed. All those feelings, like we just need to know that we matter, and we do. Our voices do matter. That's the biggest part of the equation here, is Americans' voices, us speaking up and being here. It's up to us. It really actually is up to us where we go next and what happens next in our immediate future. I think that's the biggest thing that's so important right now, that makes this election feel so different, is that whatever happens, there's going to be a stark difference in our lives right away. And I don't mean right away necessarily tonight. How long do you think it's going to take? Any idea?
I'd say 50-50.
Yeah.
This is just my personal guess. 50% chance that we have a pretty good idea of tonight, just by kind of watching certain districts. I don't think it'll get called tonight definitively,
Right.
but
Right.
we'll pretty much know where we're at.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of other possibilities. And my big concern is that mail-in ballots, there's just going to be a lot around it, with ballots getting rejected on technicalities, which we've known is a big possibility, or worse, things going to the Supreme Court and backdating. Like right now in Pennsylvania, you have 3 days. Your ballot can arrive. It needs to be postmarked today. It needs to arrive by Friday. The Supreme Court could change that, and that would be the true tragedy. That
Right.
would be the truest tragedy if the Supreme Court decided the election, overruling the will of the people. I don't think that'll happen. Just
Yeah.
statistically, it's improbable that it'll
Right.
come down to that. But that's the thing that really bothers me, and I feel like for Headcount and everything we do, like we had our best year ever. We registered 425,000 people. We had well over 1 million people either register or check their registration status through us, and all these things. And if the will of the people is overruled, it honestly feels like it's all for naught. It really does.
Yeah.
But if the will of the people is represented, regardless of who wins, it shows that we didn't waste
that
our
we're
time.
a functioning family. Yeah.
Exactly.
That it works.
So I'm really hopeful because I'm really proud of the work we did. And I my own personal journey is I went into this year and I said to myself, if we don't hit our goals, we had some fairly ambitious goals. I said, if we don't hit our goals, I'm done. Like, I've been doing this for over 15 years. It's not just my hard work, but it's so many people's hard work. If we can't turn it into something where we feel like we're making a difference, what's the point? And then COVID hits and it's like, wow, this just got seemingly a lot harder.
Yeah.
But I said to everybody, I said, we're going to still hit our goals. We're not changing our goals. We're just going to figure out how to do it. And it was pretty early on that one of the first ideas we came up with is doing contests or like gated content around checking your registration status. And you were one of the first to sign on. And we were talking about it this morning that was really the turning point, was like when we figured out what the model was going to be instead of concerts. And we just laid into it. I mean, we did it with you. We did it with Camila Cabello, with Dave Matthews, with Global Citizen, our big partners. And we just did it again and again. And then David Dobrik, a YouTuber who's apparently the biggest person on earth, and registered 120,000 voters. So
wow.
Great. Yeah, we had one guy, David Dobrik. He gave away 5 Teslas.
Oh, right. I saw that promo.
Yeah, and it was, but what he registered 4,000 people just through a Instagram story without any incentive. So
wow.
I'm learning. It made me feel old because I was like, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
I know now that he was just on the Tonight Show, and he's really incredible, and he has this incredible connection with young people. And so we've had this journey this year where life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. We were planning to be out on all these concert tours, and then we found a completely different set of partners and approaches. And now we ended up, doubling our goals and feeling like, wow, you can start to get to these numbers. You really feel like you're making a difference and touching a lot of lives and bringing a lot of people into democracy. So I'm not going to let anything other than an outrightly stolen election get me down.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if we've learned nothing, it's that we have to protect democracy.
Yeah.
And I'm more toward the middle politically. I question everything.
Yeah.
And I went into this year thinking a lot of the talk about voter suppression was, I definitely knew there was a lot of voter suppression out there, but I thought the focus was sometimes in the wrong places.
Right.
And I think that was correct. But what I'm seeing this year is that between voter purges and the long lines and the trying to stop voting by mail, voter suppression is alive and well, and it is scary.
It's
terrifying. And it is un-American.
Yes.
And we have to keep fighting on that no matter who wins this election. And it is very clear that if given the opportunity, there's a real chance that the Supreme Court would override the will of the people. And Samuel Alito basically said that last week, a justice of the Supreme Court. So I'm feeling more emboldened to take on this fight. Yeah. It's not just about registering, turning out voters, but making sure that every voice is heard, that everyone gets to use their voice. So I am, whatever happens in the next couple of days, I think our path is clearer. That the fight for democracy is a fight for all of us.
Right on. So right on. And it's worldwide. And what happens here is going to make a difference and have a ripple effect for sure.
It really is. I mean, America has been, and I know you have a lot of international fans, and, we were taught in school as children in America that we were the leaders of worldwide democracy. And that's, I'm sure, a lot of Americentric, just we're going to pat ourselves on the back. But there's certainly things in our history where that has truth. And now it's like we feel like we're a worldwide, I don't know what the word is, but leader is not it. Leader of democracy is not it right now.
Yeah.
We're getting love from the UK right now, I see. We've just got to, we've got to think of this as a global fight.
Yeah.
For sure. And Headcount is actually looking at doing some international expansion, and
Oh, cool.
And I with our partners, Global Citizen, and I don't know, I don't even feel qualified. Like I'm a rock and roll guy, not an international expansion guy.
Rock and roll is worldwide.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to take this all worldwide, and maybe we'll be running around with clipboards and Evanescence shows all over the world. Maybe you'll be our
Great.
first.
Yeah, come. Yes.
The what you know, before we break, something I want to say is your team that surrounds you is so terrific.
Thanks.
And they're so passionate, and one thing I notice is I think they really trust you. Like we work with so many managers that are very protective of their artists, and I understand why they do that. But I think your team, not only do they love you and they'll do anything for you, but they ultimately really just trust you. And I think you have a really special group there.
Thank you so much for saying that. I love my team, and we are in a better place on the behind the scenes end of things than I have ever been. I'm so grateful to be here now, and it wasn't an easy road to get to that place. I love my peeps. That's
Sure.
for sure.
And your fans should know that. Your fans should know that the way that they're getting, you know, the music and the content from you is because a lot of people are working hard, and they're doing it with love and a lot of integrity. And as I said, a lot of trust in you and trust in the fans. They're not like worried about, you know, this small group isn't going to like something or something like that. And I think it's really notable because we work with hundreds of artists, and it really stands out.
Awesome.
So,
thank you.
well,
I mean,
Amy, don't be a stranger. It's really been so great.
thanks.
And I want to remind everybody out there that if you do have any voting problems today, call 866-OUR-VOTE, the election protection hotline. You can find that number on our Instagram. There's also a link in our bio with information by every individual state. We're going to go next to Hip Hop Harry. And later on today, we're going to have the Try Guy, Zach Kornfeld, Jim James of My Morning Jacket, Living Color, and Perry Farrell. And then the Wonder Years, K-Flay, many more.
Nice.
So
Tell K-Flay I said hi.
I will. Well,
Okay.
Thank you again. And
Thank you, Andy.
fingers
You guys
crossed.
rocked. No matter what, victory for you.
Appreciate that. Much love. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.